Have Kenny, and the big news here at Randwick is that it's not raining. It started to sprinkle a little bit after the first race, but it went away quickly, and that sure is good news on Derby Day on the best racetrack in Australia. If I heard you booing down there in Victoria, I think Flemington's pretty good too, but it's no better than Randwick. I said in my column in the Telegraph this morning that the Derby standard this year, the class wasn't all that strong, but they're still the Derby horses, and to win a Derby, you've got to be game and hard and tough, and you'll see all that live today on the wide world of sports. The first race we're going to do is race 3, the Adrian Knox Stakes, in about just under a half hour from now at 10 minutes to 2, 1:50 Eastern time. And in that, I like the Bart Cummings trained Bay Tree, TAB number 3. She was bogged down last week on the soft track at Rose Hill. I think she'll go much better here today, and I expect her to win. The fourth race, of course, is the AJC Derby. 11 runners, 10 colts and a filly. What am I going for? Have a cheer, Mum, because I'm going for the girl. Her name is Research. She's the classiest horse in the race. She's just starting to strike form again. I think she'll win. She's as game as Ned Kelly. They won't beat her on that score. That's the story of race 4, the AJC Derby. Now in race 5, we've got a good thing for you. He's a horse out of the former champion mare Leilani. You remember Leilani? She won a Caulfield Cup and ran second in a Melbourne Cup about 14 years ago, and her son, number 7, Dusky Sound, is now trained by Tommy Smith. He had 4 starts in New Zealand for 3 wins. TJ then bought into him. He's whisked him over to Sydney, and I expect him to win today. He's the best bet of the day. TAB number 7 in race 5. In race 6, the Doncaster, the Tui's Doncaster, I like the New Zealander. Number 13, John Delar, a winner of 5 of his last 6. He was most impressive last week at Rose Hill in winning. He should carry on the good work today at Randwick. That's my thoughts on the meeting. Dusky Sound the best bet. Research to win the Derby. Back to you, Kenny.
Okay, thanks, Ken. We're off and running on another Wide World of Sports afternoon, and we'll gallop back right after
Yes, the Adrian Knox it is, under leaden skies at Randwick, but little or no rain since the early hours of this morning. And Ken, I must confess, I will never, ever again be sceptical about the Randwick track. I thought it might be getting towards heavy. The times they've run in the first 2 races indicate that it's in remarkably good condition.
It sure is, John, and the big news at Randwick, a late scratching from the Doncaster, the likely favourite, number 13, John Delar. Here's the prices on race 3. Sober Dancer is at 13 to 2. Shalea at 11 to 4, make that about 5 to 2 now. She's favourite with the bookmakers. Bay Tree is 2 to 1 on the tote, 12 to 1 Tiffany Blue, 11 to 2 Whiff, 8 to 1 Whiskey's Gift, 25 Melissa's Bell, 50 Effet, 20 Our Tour de France, 200 Futures Market, and 80 Tallahassee. Okay, they're just about all in. My tip is the Bart Cummings trained Bay Tree. Here's the man to call her for you, Johnny Tapp.
Now, Whiskey's Gift has moved up to complete the line. The starter's coming over to mount his rostrum, and they're just about set for a start. Amber light flashing on top of the gate. And they're about to break, and they're off and running. Good start. Sober Dancer, if anything, a shade flat-footed, and so was Tallahassee. And Bay Tree bounced out in front at the start. Melissa's Bell began well, and Sober Dancer quickly kicked up on the fence to join those leaders. But nobody wants to be in front, and they're going along very, very slowly in the early part. So much so, in fact, that Sober Dancer, after being slow to move, has pulled her way to the front now over Bay Tree, Melissa's Bell. Whiskey's Gift is out 3 deep going over the 1600 crossing. Whiff is on the fence right behind the leading division. A length or so to Tiffany Blue on the outside of Chalier, followed by Our Tour de France, and then Futures Market and Ifet, and a length and a half away last is Tallahassee at the 1400 mark now. And this leader's going very keenly, Sober Dancer, with the mouth open, led by a length on Whiskey's Gift and Bay Tree. Now the rider of Melissa's Bell is not happy with the pace, and he allowed that filly to stride up very quickly to join those leaders. Tiffany Blue is racing 1 horse off the fence, and then Whiff, and a length and a half away Chalier. Further back is Our Tour de France, followed closely then as they come around that top turn by Futures Market, and then Ifet and Tallahassee is last. They've quickened up appreciably as they come to the crossing at the 900 mark, and it's Melissa's Bell in front now by more than a length to Whiskey's Gift and Sober Dancer, and then Bay Tree enjoying a perfect run, followed by Tiffany Blue. On the fence midfield is Whiff on the inside of Chalier from Our Tour de France. Futures Market, Ifet is now being ridden along, and Tallahassee is last, but the field is starting to bunch up again as they near the corner where Melissa's Bell is all almost joined by Whiskey's Gift, and Bay Tree is about to whip up and make a line of 3. On the fence behind those, Sober Dancer, followed by Tiffany Blue, and Whiff is trying to push into the clear as they turn the corner, but over the rise now, and Bay Tree had raced up to head Whiskey's Gift. Whiff is now getting out of the pack, and she's coming out after them quickly, and down the extreme outside is Shallier. Bay Tree is in front. Shallier wide out has run into second place. Whiff is boxing on gamely. Bay Tree is headed by Shallier halfway down the straight, and Shallier starts to draw clear in the last bit. Shallier's too good for this lot, and she races away to win easily over Bay Tree. Sober Dancer third. Fourth is Whiskey's Gift, and then Whiff, who couldn't stay the 2,000 metres, followed by our Tour de France, Tiffany Blue, well back Tallahassee and Melissa's Bell, and the last couple were Ifet and Futures Market. Gee, Whiff looked a big hope up the rise. She cruised up to them, but obviously didn't run the 2,000 metres. Shallier did, though. Number 2, Shallier, to pay $3.40 and $1.40. $3.40 and $1.40, Shallier. Now, second and third, Bay Tree will be second. Number 3, Bay Tree, a place dividend of $1.50. And which one did I call third? Blimey, it's amazing how they go out of your mind. Sober Dancer. Number 1 will be third, Sober Dancer, to pay $2.40. Ken.
Yes, John. Well, here it's quite obvious that Shallier is too strong at the 2,000 metres. She sprinted straight away from Bay Tree, who looked the winner topping the rise. But the favourite was just much too good, Shallier, and she won comfortably from Bay Tree. Sober Dancer got going again to just snare third place ahead of Whiskey's Gift. That's the story of the third. In the fourth, I like the filly Research, TAB number 13.
Thank you, Ken. Official numbers on the Adrian Knox Stakes are 2-3-1, Shallier, Bay Tree and Sober Dancer. The official fourth being Whiskey's Gift, and official fifth was Whiff. Shallier is trained here at Randwick by Frank Lewis, a man who knows how to put the polish on a big race winner, because back in 1961 he had the distinction of preparing Lord Fury to win the 1961 Melbourne Cup. Well, Shallier's no Lord Fury, but she's a very good staying filly, and will now go in against the Stars, Riverina Charm, Research and Company in next Wednesday's $300,000 AJC Oaks. Well, the fourth is the $1.25 million Derby, and you'll see the Blue Riband live. But there's plenty more action to come on Wide World of Sports.
Well, the Derby's coming up. Last time I went to see a Derby was at Randwick. I took my mother-in-law with me. Big girl. She dropped a handbag, bent down to pick it up, and Malcolm Johnson threw a saddle on her.
He'll be a feature on the Wide World of Sports. He's fantastic. Okay, they're coming into line out there at Randwick for today's big race, the AJC Derby. Here's Johnny Tapp.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, the prize money this year is $1.25 million. It reached $1 million in '88 and up by another $250,000 this year. As a matter of fact, it is the richest race ever run on Randwick Racecourse, and Ken, it's somewhat of an anti-climax that we have one of the most ordinary fields we've seen in a derby in many, many years. 2 scratchings, a field of only 11, and Research is attempting to become the 4th filly since 1944 to win the Blue Riband.
Yes, John, and I don't think there's any doubts about her class. She's an absolute top-class filly. She's proved that in the past. She proved it with a win in the Victoria Derby, in the Victorian Oaks, I'm sorry. She never ran in the Derby, and she's a raging hot favourite here today. Let's have a look at the prices on the AJC Derby. Number 1, Our Kroner, is at 6.5 to 1. Sir Midas is at the same price. He's one of the Bart Cummings trained runners. High God from Melbourne is a roughie at 40 to 1. Liverstone Lane, Smart Horse, a little bit suspect at the distance, is at 20 to 1. Brooklyn Dodger, another Melbourne horse, is at 40 to 1. Royal Pardon is the best fancy to the Bart Cummings runners. He's at 5 to 1. Power of Destiny, trained by Colin Hayes at Angaston in South Australia. He's at 14 to 1. Mr. Brooker, all the way from New Zealand, a 10 to 1 chance, be ridden by the top Kiwi jockey David Walsh. As John told you, Reasoning and Painted Ocean are not fulfilling their engagements. Pabulum, solid, hard, tough stayer, might lack a little in class for a derby. He's at 25 to 1. War Force is the outsider of the field at 80 to 1 on the tote. Research at the moment showing $1.05 for 50 cents, $2.10 for $1. Odds of about 10 to 9. She could firm even shorter. The filly's the hot pot, the winner of the VRC Oaks. She's going for the Derby in Sydney. Can she do it? Here's John Tapp to let you know.
Good, Ken. Now, I'm just trying to work out if there's any sort of a delay up here at the starting point because it requires about 90 seconds to advertise post time, and there's no sign of them being called up. All riders are still in the saddle, which would indicate that none of the runners have loosened a plate or caused or suffered any gear damage on the way to the barrier. So I can't see for the life of me while they're not moving in, and they're about to do that now, as a matter of fact. Good, strong interstate representation in the race with Brooklyn Dodger, trained by Tom Hughes from Flemington. Power of Destiny is trained by Colin Hayes. Mr. Brooker is a New Zealander, and he was one of those bargain basement buys as a yearling that we read about. I think he cost something like $1,200 as a yearling in New Zealand, Mr. Brooker. He's not the handsomest thoroughbred you've ever seen. In fact, he's the proud owner of a very prominent Roman nose, and that often turns buyers or potential buyers off young horses at yearling sales. But Mr. Brooker, as I said, a $1,200 yearling outlay, and so far he's won something like $67,000. And all right, well, they're about to jump in a $1.25 million AJC Derby. It might be a good time to pick up the closing stages of the previous race in Melbourne.
Them on the outside of Civic Hope, and over on the inside is Prince Alida. Melrick is up in that leading group, and they were being followed by Clarion Caller. Then further back off the track a little is Ultravite coming at them, and they're followed by Real Version. A bit further back is Old Acquaintance, who's over on the inside, well back to Historic, followed by Poe Toy, who's a long way back in the field. And so also as they come up the side of the track there is noted. Tight Ruler is the leader, rounding the home turn with about 450 to go. Leads about a length to Melrick on the outside. Ultravite back behind them, followed by Civic Hope as they straighten up, and then Real Version. Prince Elite was at the head of the others, and further back is Old Acquaintance, but Tight Ruler's nicely clear with 250 metres left to go. Ultravita's coming after him, and down the outside is Melrick, followed by Civic Hope. Tight Ruler still in front with 100 metres left to go. Melrick on the outside, and Ultravita's joining in. Tight Ruler being tackled by Ultravite. Tight Ruler's hanging on. Ultravite coming in, and Tight Ruler too good. Tight Ruler's won it by
a little fidgety. About to break in the Derby. Starters on his stand. Off and running in the Tui's AJC Derby. A little bit slow to move at the start was Power of Destiny, and High God bounced out in front. Research began well and has left in front in the early stages over High God. Our Kroner's prominently placed on the inside as they go out of the straight, followed by War Force, and then Sir Midas, Liverstone, Elaine and Pabulum between horses, not getting much room. All Royal Pardon was badly hampered there as Pabulum came in on top of Royal Pardon, who appeared to brush the running rail momentarily. Further back then is Brooklyn Dodger, followed by Mr. Brooker, and Power of Destiny is last, but they're going at a very muddling pace at the 1800 mark, and Research is in front in the Derby with the ears pricked, only narrowly over Sir Midas, and they're absolutely crawling at the 1800 mark. In third place is the NZer, Our Kroner, followed closely then by War Force, and Royal Pardon recovered after that early check to be about fifth on the inside of High God, and Pabulum is travelling three deep as they go out of the straight, followed by Mr. Brooker, and then Liverstone, Elaine and Brooklyn Dodger with Power of Destiny last, but only 7 lengths off the lead to the back now. 1400 metres out, and Dittman slows them up to suit himself on the filly Research. Research in front by about 3/4 of a length on Sir Midas. They've quickened up just a little now. Our Kroner is on the fence directly behind the leader, followed by War Force, and High God is running fifth between that pair. A length and a quarter to Royal Pardon, followed by Pabulum, and then Mr. Brooker, Power of Destiny and Liverstone Elaine, and Brooklyn Dodger last, but no more than 8 lengths off the lead as they come around the top turn about 1,000 metres out in the Derby. And Research, who's been in front from the outset, dictated terms, led by a neck on Sir Midas, but there's Pabulum making a quick move now. Pabulum has raced up to put some pressure on Research at the 800 mark, and they get away now by a length and a half or 2 lengths to Sir Midas. Our Kroner on the fence, and then War Force, High God. Royal Pardon is next midfield, followed after 2 lengths by Power of Destiny. Further back in the field is Mr. Brooker, then Liverstone Elaine, and Brooklyn Dodger as last as they come to the turn. 5 500 metres out, and Research is the leader over Pabulum. Sir Midas 3 deep as they turn for home. On the fence then is Our Krona, followed by Royal Pardon and War Force, but over the rise, and Research has kicked away. Research is booted clear by 2 lengths or more. Royal Pardon is getting into second place and running on gamely, followed by Our Krona and War Force. Research is well clear with 100 to go, though. She's got them beaten, I think. Royal Pardon in second place, can't do any better. And the filly Research is going to lead all the way to win the Derby. Research beat Royal Pardon. Power of Destiny has come home strongly for third. And then Our Krona, followed by War Force and Mr. Brooker. A gap to Liverstone Lane, followed by Pabulum, Brooklyn Dodger. And then Sir Midas. And last to finish is High God in the Tui's AJC Derby of 89. Research becomes the 4th filly since 1944 to beat the Colts in the AJC Derby, and she had to lead all the way to do it. Number 13, Research, giving Mick Dittman his 2nd Derby win. He scored on Strawberry Road in 84, and tote odds of $2 and $1.40. Royal Pardon, a very good run after an early setback on the place tote, $2.10, and Power of Destiny looks to have run 3rd, a place dividend of $3.10. Ken, a great filly.
Yes, John, she was the class in the race, and when they let Mick Dittman walk them in front, well, I think they were dead set giving her the race. She was never in danger of defeat at any stage. Dittman never had to accelerate to the half mile, and that's the result. The only thing is that I did back the winner, and she was the best horse in the race anyway. All glory to Mick Dittman in the AJC Derby of 1989, and in the next race, I hope he chalks up another win on TAB number 7, Dusky Sound.
Dusky Sound is a very big tip at Randwick. Everybody but the cloakroom attendant wants to tip it. Research, trained at Warwick Farm by Clary Connors. The filly is raced on lease, by the way, from the New Haven Park stud, and is raced on lease by Clary Connors, Mr. T.C. Lind, R.G. Hagan, and John Woodley. Now, John Woodley is ill. He's in hospital. He's watching Wide World of Sports. In fact, I believe he's been extremely ill. John, from everybody here associated with Wide World of Sports, from Clary and all your part owners, and from Mick Dittman, I can imagine how you must be feeling now. You'll be doing handsprings around that ward. Congratulations, you're the part owner of an AJC Derby winner. The great filly Research, whose stake earnings, well, she had $725,000 coming into today's Derby, and the first prize today, another $850,000. That'll take care of a few medical bills for John Woodley. Good on you, John. Official numbers 13, 6 and 7, and huge congratulations to Clary Connors, who's been battling away for years and years at Warwick Farm with ordinary horses in the main. And, well, you've heard it said before, horses make trainers, horses make jockeys, and Clary Connors has proven that he can put the polish on a good horse just as well as T.J. Smith or Bart Cummings. There's no shadow of doubt about that. Good on you, Clary. I'd like to be with the celebration party tonight. It's likely to go for 3 days. It's all over for another year. The Tui's AJC Derby, and in a moment on Wide World of Sports, we'll go back to Bells Beach in Victoria.
Well, it's all right.
Johnny Tapp.
All right, Ken, we're coming into a race called the Pat Osborne Handicap. It's over 1,400 metres. Runners arrive at the barrier, and there's a very interesting horse in the race called Dusky Sound, which is now trained by Tommy Smith. Apparently, his daughter Gay was instrumental in the horse being purchased from New Zealand. Gay was in New Zealand, heard the horse was on the market, went and had a look at him and recommended to Dad that he buy the horse, which they did subsequently. Ken, I heard a figure of $220,000 New Zealand. I don't know how close to the mark that is, so it'll be handy if he can win and recoup something first up at Randwick today.
John, I can tell you that every clocker from Randwick is on him. They all think he's a moral, but he's at pretty short odds. At the moment, he's at odds on. He's just firmed from evens to 10 to 9 on, $1.90 for $1. I've got my cash on him too, so I hope my 14 stone doesn't weigh him down. Let's look at these prices. Bravery is a scratching. True Dreams is at 11 to 1. Winner's Intent at 7 to 1. 14 to 1 What a Life. 40 4-0 Regal Shower. 10 to 1 Round Opera. I think he's probably the danger. 10 to 9 on Dusky Sound. 33 Evangelum. 12 to 1 Gems Toy. 25 Southern Conquest, the likely pacemaker. 16 Eastern Cove. 14 Lord Valrigo. And 25 to 1 Denaric. They're the prices on the Osborne Welder, and every man and his dog, it seems, is on Dusky Sound.
Thanks, Ken. By gee, there was one other very salient point that I should have brought to your attention about Dusky Sound. His dam is the Great Leilani, runner-up in a Melbourne Cup, and goodness knows how many top-grade races she won. Up to date, she's been somewhat disappointing as a broodmare. One or two other foals from Leilani have been only mediocre performers. Now, again, as was the case before the Derby, there seems to be a lethargy about getting them into the starting gates, and I'm blowed if I know why, because it's less than a minute to post time. So we might as well head down south again and have a look at the highlights from the previous race in Melbourne. This was a good class race too, the Victoria Handicap, a Group 3 race as a matter of fact. You'll recognise some of the names, I feel sure.
Raft Boys in hot pursuit on the outside as they straighten up, and they're clear. Over on the inside, Oyster Grey, followed by Surveillance. Down the outside from a long way back is Avalon King, but Gaelic Sands is dash clear, coming down with 200 to go. Raft Boys a couple of lengths away, and down the outside, Avalon King is running home pretty well. It's Gaelic Sands, the leader, with 100 metres left to go. Avalon King down the outside is starting to grab him, and Cliffman on the inside is finishing very fast. Avalon King on the outside is grabbed by Cliffman, and Cliffman on the fence has got up to score by about a head to Avalon King. Ahead away third to Gaelic Sands, followed by Raft Boy.
Yeah, my apologies. I thought that was race 5, the Victoria Handicap. It was the third event, which was for 3-year-olds, and the winner was Cliffman, which got through on the fence and scored very well. And your commentator, the one and only John Russell. Now, only 3 or 4 to move up, waiting on Eastern Cove, Regal Shower to come in, and there's a riderless one now behind the gates. Number 3, I think it is. Yes, there's the number 3 Saddlecloth. The winner's Intent. He, on occasions, gives trouble at the starting point, and he certainly is today. The Derby was won brilliantly by the odds-on favourite Research. Mick Dittman admitted to the crowd during his part of the presentation that he had to disobey riding instructions on Research. He said he rode contrary to instructions, but when the pace was so slow in the early stages, he thought he was better off letting the filly stride along freely rather than fight with her, and that's one of the golden rules of race riding, because there's nothing will knock a horse up quicker than the rider fighting against them. Now we're waiting on the riderless winner's Intent to be placed in. Eastern Cove, Regal Shower, Lord Valrigo, Evangelum and Gems Toy to move up. Gems Toy is ridden by Mark de Montfort, who's one of the enigmas of Sydney racing as far as I'm concerned. There are few better riders about than young Mark, and his record in big races from very restricted opportunity speaks for itself. And yet I think he's only got the one ride here today, and this race coming up on Gems Toy, and I'm blowed if I know why. He is the real wasted talent. Now, Regal Shower and Evangelum are the two we're waiting on. They move up simultaneously. The starter's coming over to his stand now to release them in the P.H. Osborne Handicap, named after a former vice-chairman of the Australian Jockey Club. Amber light flashing on top of the gate, and they're about to break. Dusky Sound is a son of the former champion race mare Leilani. Gates open, off and running. True Dreams began a little bit awkwardly, and so did Winner's Intent, and Regal Shower bounced out in front, headed straight away by Southern Conquest. Round Opera jumped away well, and so did What a Life and Evangelum, followed by Denaric. Dusky Sound settles down midfield on the outside of Denaric, and then True Dreams, followed further back in the field by Eastern Cove, and dropping out to be last is Gems Toy, and Lord Valrigo's about third last. Around the first turn at the 900 mark, and Southern Conquest is the leader over Regal Shower. What a Life in third place, followed by Evangelum, travelling 3 deep over the 800 crossing. Now Round Opera's being bustled a bit as they go past the 800 mark, followed by Winner's Intent, and then Dusky Sound, who's strung up between horses at the moment from Lord Valrigo, Denaric and True Dreams, and then Gems Toy, and a length and a half away last Eastern Cove. On the turn now, and it's Southern Conquest, a narrow leader over What a Life in the middle, 3 deep Regal Shower, 4 deep Evangelum. On the fence behind them, Round Opera, followed by Winner's Intent, and then Dusky Sound, who's flat to the boards coming over the rise, where What a Life sprinted and headed Southern Conquest, and they've kicked away from Regal Shower, Round Opera. Further out is Evangelum running on well, and Dusky Sound is starting to wind up now, but he's still a long way from the leader. What a Life is clear, 100 out. Here comes Dusky Sound right down the outside. He's motoring home. He's finishing right over the top of What a Life, and there's a good performance by Dusky Sound. Eastern Cove has come through in the centre and will probably get second. A wall of them for third, including Gems Toy, What a Life, Life, Evangeline and Round Opera, and then Regal Shower, Lord Valrigo, Denaric, followed by True Dreams, Never In It, and the last couple, Winner's Intent and Southern Conquest. Well, he looked 100 to 1 at the 200, Dusky Sound, before Dittman pulled him out to the middle of the track, and once he saw daylight, he really got his mind on the job and overpowered the leaders to score a very good win. Number 7, Dusky Sound, a double for Mick Dittman in consecutive races, $1.80 and $1.40. Eastern Cove almost certainly will get second. Number 11, a place dividend of $4.40, but very close for third. Heap of them there for third, Ken.
Yes, John, very close indeed. Well, as you said, if you back this, John, you are bursting out in carbuncles. He's a son of Leilani, who is an out-and-out stayer. I reckon we'll be hearing a lot more of him over longer distances. Look at him go. McGiving the old 1-2. What a life looked home, but they just came out of the ground, and nothing come out of the ground better than Dusky Sound. He took a left turn to get in the clear, but once he got in the clear, whoosh-o. That was the story of race 6 here at Randwick, race 5 here at Randwick, and I think a fair horse in the making, Dusky Sound, and another horse who's going to win a lot of races for Mr. TJ Smith. In race 6, as we told you earlier in the Doncaster, number 13, John Delar, is a late scratching. I'm transferring my tip to number 3, Planet Ruler. Here's Johnny.
All right, Ken, don't know about third. I think the issue will rest between Evangeline or What a Life for third. OK, on Wide World of Sports, the best sporting action continues after this break.
He knows it all, Ken Callender.
Yeah, thanks very much, George. Well, it's 7 minutes now to the Doncaster of 1989, and punters have settled on number 1, Flotilla, from the Jack Denham stable as favourite. On the tote at the moment, he's showing odds of about 4.5 to 1. If you think that's pretty short, bookies are a lot shorter. The other two in the betting are Wong, trained by Paul Sutherland, and Bowie from the Bart Cummings stable. Bowie's very strongly in commission around about the 6 to 1 mark. It's a field of 19 runners, so there's plenty of horses in the market, but the favourite at the moment, Flotilla, will be back with a final rundown just before the jump.
Here's Johnny Tapp.
Good, Ken, yes, a great old race. First run in 1866 and has been won by some mighty horses. Gun Sind, who carried about 9 stone 7. Time and Tide had 9-4. But, Ken, what about the weight-carrying record back in 1934? Chatham with 10 stone 4. Hey, the fashions in the field is taking place at the moment. Get your eyes off those good sorts and onto that tote board, Kenny.
John, it's pretty hard. I disagree with the judges as usual. How come what women or think are good sorts, blokes don't, and the vice versa? Still, just another loser I would have backed in the fashions for the fields. Let's have a look at these prices. More important to you punters. Flotilla, it's into 4 to 1 now on the tote, and might firm even a bit more. 33 to 1, Never Quit. Planet Ruler, big tip, the Queenslander. I've tipped him with number 13, John Delar out. Planet Ruler is at 10 to 1. He's got a great chance on the good track. 8 to 1, Warned. 30, Water Boatman. Wong about 6.5 to 1. Bowie between 6s and 11 to 2. Lygon Arms at 25 to 1, Bold Sea at 40 to 1, Eye of the Sky at 12 to 1, Noble Clubs at 20, Regal Native at 40 to 1, John Delar a late scratching, what a crying shame for the connections, 25 Mystical Prince, 30 Classic Hand, straighten that up a bit, 25 to 1 Marimbula Bay, 25 Red Express, good roughie, Arabian Steel is scratched, 30 Regal Prize, 16 Tijara, 100 LA Streak, Paris Pride didn't get a run. They're about to go in the Doncaster of 1989. And the best caller to call the big races, of course, Johnny Tapp.
Good, Ken, and there are 19 of them as they move in under these grey skies at Randwick. The rain has held off, and I just can't get over the condition of this track. The times they've been running after some pretty heavy rain, I'm told, early this morning have been sensational. In fact, in the Pat Osborne handicap, the previous race, I forgot to point out to you, they carved out the 1400 in 1:22.8. Remarkable. Just a little over a second outside the course record held by Good Vibrations. LA Streak showed his disdain for a couple of the gatemen who went to link hands behind him there by lashing out. He looks very sour, LA Streak. Neil Campton is now dismounted. Rider of LA Streak is out of the saddle. That horse about to be positioned riderless. Only 4 to come up, LA Streak, Eye of the Sky, Red Express and Tajara. Mick Dittman has ridden 3 winners so far today, including the Derby on research, and he rides Flotilla in this race coming up. Now here's Eye of the Sky and Wayne Harris moving up to find their spot out towards the middle of the lineup, joined now by Tajara. Tajara flat-footed, a little reluctant to move in. She's halfway there. 3/4, and now she's in the gates. They close the gates behind Tajara, and that leaves only the Orlando Classic winner, Red Express, ridden by Stuart Plain, and they'll be all set now. Tajara backed out again. As you can probably work out, I have a dead set lateral sight of the 1600 metre starting point, and with a field of 9